Hello and welcome to the VR Gamescast. Welcome. We haven't been here for a little while, but kind of treat this as season 2, I'm going to say. We're going to be a lot more season 2.
Yeah,
nothing's
okay.
changed, but we're back.
That's a good way to put it. Nice excuse.
Anyway, I'm going to be your host. I am Zeena, and with me, as always, is Jamie Feltham. Hey.
Yo, what's up?
What up? What up? How are you?
I'm all right. This is the first time we've done this, and we actually haven't seen each other in a little while, which is very strange for us. But Zena's been in London for a couple of days with her fam.
Mm-hmm.
I've been back in Sheffield, but we're both equally. Well, actually, you're a little more ill than me at the moment. So if there's a lot of coughing in this podcast and a lot of
it's
sniffling,
it's not COVID. It's actually just a normal cold, believe it or not. Those things have come back.
We met a baby last weekend. We met them, shook their hand foolishly, and the baby
and
made
our
us ill.
immune systems are about just as strong as the baby's right now. So
yeah,
here we are. Anyway, We're not alone. Welcome everyone in chat. I'm going to say people's names. There's Hardly Charlie, Onikazi, welcome. Donut is fun. Adam Hartzell, that absolute boy. Welcome back, fam. Thank you. It is wonderful to be back. 60 Bicycle. Cold vid. Yeah, it is pretty much cold vid. Party, Homez, Multia Biknik, Ninus. Fantaz and the rest of you guys, welcome.
Isaiah.
Thank you. I'm
so
also going to give a special shout out to our members. You might see in the chat that people got these funky names with different colors and the little upload symbol. You guys, you support us each month and we love it. I'm just going to run through the names. Our good friend Skiva, Sexy Bicycle, Devin Miller, Matthew May, Rick Tet, Robert Quinona, Steve Evans, Smash Reality, Adam Hartzell, John Wester, and Dominic Frickman. Thank you to all of you guys. If you don't want to become a member, if you're a little bit wishy-washy, give us a super chat. We love it, and we'll definitely read out whatever you say. We'll read out some things along the way anyway. Or you can buy one of our t-shirts down below. Don't ask us why they're priced differently. That's up to that platform. But you'll have our logo. Anyway.
You're on fire today. You smashed that. That was impressive. Round of applause, everyone. Chat, give her a round of applause.
It's not just the fever.
That's the Patapon fever, just in case anyone was wondering.
Anyway, we usually talk about today's release or the week's releases at the end of the show, but because Blade and Sorcery Nomad is out right now and the embargo has been lifted, we're going to talk about Blade and Sorcery first before we get on to the news. Hello. And our discussion points. I like this studio better because I can. Hello.
You can just lean in for a casual. Yo, what's up?
Yeah. So Jamie over here has reviewed it, and there's the written review over at UploadVR.com. There's the video review right here, as well as a graphics comparison and gameplay. Jamie, give us a rundown of what you thought.
We definitely didn't like. It's live, isn't it? I haven't broken an embargo or anything like that. Hang on, let me just before I tell you what I thought.
I mean, we put everything live.
Yeah, so I hope not. But I mean, it's out, isn't it? Chat, confirm
it's literally out.
The game is on the Oculus Store, please. And in the meantime, I'll just talk very sheepishly. I mean, I can go with the facts. Like, if you didn't know, this is it's kind of a weird thing. It's a standalone version of Blade and Sorcery called Nomad. So it's the same game right now. It's pretty much feature complete. Okay, Geordie's saying it's out. Thank you, Geordie. It's pretty much the same game, feature complete right now, apart from there's like a couple of missing maps, and in the dungeons mode there's a missing map, and there's some other differences as well. And it's like going forward from here, Blade and Sorcery is still in early access on PC, so that's still getting updates. So this is kind of like that Onward on Quest thing, and a couple of other games like that, where it's a full game on the official Oculus Store, but really it's still in early access. And because of that, we give it a full review, because there's nothing on the store to say, just so you know, this game isn't finished yet. So we always think it's fair to give it a full review. And I like it. I think it's really, really good. I'm a huge fan of these kind of physics-driven combat games. And actually, as much as I talk about it, Blade and Sorcery is not one I'd spent masses of time with before Nomad, because I think it's probably one of the harder ones to get into, just in terms of like having space, knowing how to fight right, and everything like that. It takes up quite a lot of it takes quite a lot of dedication compared to something like Gorn, where you just get in there and start throwing the rubber items around and
but
mashing
equally,
people.
It's got a huge audience as well, a niche audience.
Yeah. So it's something I've always wanted to get into, and I'm glad the Quest version, came along, and from a work perspective, gave me reason to spend significant amount of time playing it this week. If you're used to the game on PC, you're pretty much getting what you'd expect here, which is kind of like a blurrier version of the game. But it's still pretty impressive for a Quest 2 release, I think. Some of the environments we're seeing on the screen right now, we're like traversing a cavern. And like that's actually quite a huge room in terms of Oculus Quest rooms. So that's quite impressive. The combat itself is just so stupidly ridiculous and super, super fun. I always think to myself, like,
I was horrified.
So I always think to myself, is Blade and Sorcery the game that like breaks the barrier in terms of VR violence? Is this the game that like went too far and it's going to get a bunch of media attention and stuff like that? Because obviously something like Gorn is obviously very comic in its style, and something like The Walking Dead is a bunch of zombies, so you don't really feel that as much. But I think here the enemies are just so like dead-eyed and mannequinish that it kind of robs them of. It's kind of like they're just soulless walking husks anyway, in a way, if you know what I mean. So it doesn't quite feel as horrible as you might think it should.
I mean, you say that, but when you walk around with a decapitated head on your sword, it is a bit like, oh my god, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean, you love sadistic games. I'm sorry if this is painting Jamie out to be a little bit of a weirdo, but
are you going to tell me the Just Cause story?
Yes, I was literally thinking about this. Okay. So, I think we were looking through some of Jamie's old videos of Just Cause, and he massacred a bunch of people, put them in the back of a truck, and started riding around with them.
Which is fantastic, because it broke the game. Like it was like completely broke down the frame rate because it was just so intense. Anyway, the thing that's really new here, and I know I'm kind of like meandering a bit back and forth. The thing that's kind of really new here is the Dungeons mode, which was put into the PC version of the game like last week. And the idea behind this is it's not just the arena-based wave fighting that previously has been entirely what Blades and Sorcery is made up of. Blade and Sorcery, I should say. Sorry,
Blade and Sorcery.
But it's like an actual linear randomized dungeon, which is a really cool idea, and it gives the game the kind of structure I would look for from it. But even with that built into the game now, it's still very much an early access release, and there's nothing in terms of progression baked into the game yet. And it's actually the first thing they tell you on the menu is it's like, coming in 2022, you can start a new profile with a progression mode where you unlock loot and weapons and everything like that. But for now, it's just sandbox. Here's everything you need. Go for it. So even like finishing a dungeon map, really cool, nice sense of achievement, but you don't get anything for it. And if you want to do it again, it's just, well, because I want to do it again, And the game really needs that sense of progression, I think, which is why I ended up giving it a good rating for now, with the understanding that, once it gets like more of a sense of structure and reasons to come back to it, that's when I think it'll be something that's like really extraordinary and something that people will definitely want to check out. But for now, I think it's a pretty decent port. It's definitely definitely one of the more technically constrained Quest games I've played. There are stutters when you go into bigger environments or enemies rush, and that's something we're not used to on Quest. That's the whole idea of this thing. And Facebook store curation is to be like, you will get only the best running games, and I think we're starting to see the limits of that really start to be pushed because Facebook wants a game as big as this on the platform. So I definitely couldn't have envisioned it running on the original Quest. So I totally understand why it's a Quest 2 exclusive. But yeah,
so
I like it.
In the chat, that's good. When I watched you play it, you were loving it, and I couldn't take my eyes off of the horrid acts that you were committing. So it looks really, really fun if you're into that. Some people are asking, it's called Nomad. Does that mean that there's, does that come into it? Is it more of like a walk around sort of thing? Why do you think it's called Nomad?
I think Nomad is literally meant to just reflect the idea that it's on a standalone headset and it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing. Like it legitimately is the same game, just minus one map at the moment. I see Paradise DK in the chat. Good to see you, buddy. And he's talking about the performance, and he's right. It does run in certain instances. It runs pretty choppy for a good couple of seconds, and can throw you off your balance in terms of the combat and everything like that. I have to say, I probably played about 5 or 6 hours of it this week, and I could only count the times that happened on maybe that happened twice, maybe 3 times. Yeah. That's not counting smaller stutters that just kind of came and went. Then that happened a lot more often. But it's very interesting to see a game that pushes the limits of the Quest 2 so much that it is getting this kind of performance hitch this early on in the platform's life cycle. And I have to wonder if there'll be stuff inside Project Cambria whenever that comes out that will help take it to the next level, like if they're able to pull off foveated rendering or anything like that with the eye tracking in that headset in the future. That could be a big boon for it, I suppose.
So people are referring back to the PC version. There are a couple of questions. So how do mods work, asks Fantaz, and that's the thing about the Quest version. I suppose you won't have them.
So they're not in it now, but in an FAQ they wrote on the website last week, they said it will be coming later down the line.
Oh,
and
wow.
They said they've got a very simple process for installing them. It will be a separate process from what you do on PC, and you'll need to develop separate mods. But they say it's going to happen.
So you have to translate it. You almost have to port it.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's not going to be on the same system.
The Star Wars people will have to go back and redo the Star Wars stuff, I guess, to get it running. Because as soon as you get lightsabers in there, I would definitely be checking that out. I'll be very interested to see how they pull it off, because obviously Beat Saber was such a contentious thing with mods going back and forth for so long on Quest, and they seem Warp Frog seems to be quite open to it. So I hope it works out.
I've seen a few people ask if there is cross buy or cross play. I can't remember. There's cross buy. Go for it.
I don't think there's cross buy because it's called Nomad, so it is a separate version of the game. So I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case. That's not going to happen because it's 2 separate listings in the Oculus store.
Said there aren't. Yeah,
but and it's going to be developed differently, I think, over time. It wouldn't surprise me if Warp Frog committed to further development optimizations before carrying on with adding content to the game, because it could definitely do with another pass on all of that stuff. But even on PC, Blade and Sorcery is not a game that always runs well. I've been playing it on a 3070 Ti this week, and it's still a jumpy game. It's just one of those things where it's a very ambitious game made by not the biggest studio in the world, and optimization probably isn't at the top of their priorities. But yeah, I think they've done a good job here, personally.
D1360, you've pointed out, you're right, there isn't any multiplayer, so it wouldn't be crossplay.
Yeah, not
Cross
in this
something.
current iteration. Perhaps one day. They say
Yeah.
they also said in that FAQ that they'd be interested in bringing it to PSVR 2, which I think would be really cool. That's definitely one that I would love to visit with
Oh
trophies.
god, yeah.
And my truths.
My trophies. So yeah, it's given a good on our review scale,
good.
which isn't 3 out of 5. It isn't 60% or whatever. There's no percentage. There are no numbers. It's good. Good doesn't mean bad. Good means good.
This is interesting. Paradise DK says he wonders if I noticed if the game felt a little more toned down compared to the PC version. I guess you're talking about the violence, and I would say the only thing I noticed was the lack of blood splatters, which I attributed again to a performance thing. I was still able to like decapitate, chop off arms. It did feel hard, but that's always felt hard to me in this game. So I don't think I would say it felt toned down, other than just by losing some element of the visual fidelity. There's a bit more disconnect in what you're doing compared to the PC version, where you're getting these super sharp resolution textures of people and then trying to cut their nose off or something.
So yeah, again, the heinous crimes are still in there. It's just maybe the lack of
you
no
could
blood
still
on the
do
sword.
horrible things. There's just less blood. Horrible things.
And
bless VR.
How much is that again?
That's $20. $20. 20 smackaroonies.
Yeah.
20 big ones, as they say.
And Kyle rightly says, bloody hell.
Yeah, true.
Bloody hell indeed.
It is bloody hell. I should have put that as my review tagline.
Yeah. Or yeah,
bloody
I suppose
heaven.
So. Yeah. I thought bloody good. Heaven. Bloody
should have workshopped it before.
Anyway.
Whatever.
Is that all that you want to cover on Blade and Sorcery? Shall we move on to news and such? Or are there any last comments?
Yeah, I don't know. If people want to keep asking questions throughout the show, I can answer them. Again, Paradise DK was just asking about what I thought about the bow, but I guess I thought the bow was fine. I used it a couple of times. I never noticed any like massive difference, but then that's kind of like across the board. You always get some inconsistency with bows in VR. So anything that I might have felt was off, I would have assumed I would just probably need a bit more time working with. So Paradise DK, just out of interest, and we can move on. I just want to have this conversation. Was that like different to the PC version you thought? Because I didn't. I did use the bow in both of them, and I didn't feel like they were too different. But while he's answering, let's move on.
So we are going to touch on games that are coming out this month and a couple of games that have been announced. And then we're going to get on to a little announcement about the UploadVR showcase. And then we're going to talk about GTA VR, and we're just going to discuss our thoughts on that. But yeah, let's get into the November games. Shall I do the usual run through all of the titles so we get a vibe for what's coming out?
Yeah, because I've mainly forgotten, so that's a good idea.
Cool. So already out, there's the PS Plus games, which is fantastic. There's The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, The Persistence, and Until You Fall. That's for free if you're a PS Plus member. This isn't a game, but HTC Vive Flow should be coming out early November. Any more news on that in terms of a date or?
Which one? Sorry,
HTC Vive Flow. Is it
sorry. No, they've just said early the entire time. November. So that's like, yeah, it's also not like massively a game just thing, because I think there's only a couple of games confirmed so far.
It's just a good thing to mention.
Yeah, for sure.
In Death Unchained has been changed. Has an update called
Death Unchanged.
Desolation, which is already out. Ancient Dungeon, which a couple of you have already asked us about, and we have played iterations of this. we really liked it. I think we've streamed it a couple of times, haven't we?
Yeah, if you haven't heard of this is an interesting one. It's like I saw someone describe it as kind of like a Minecraft-inspired dungeon crawler earlier, and I thought, well, only in terms of the visuals, but then you're kind of leaving Minecraft behind with the rest of it, and it's a very retro style dungeon crawler with a bit of physical combat in there. It's not the same level of Blade and Sorcery. It's not like really, really deep stabbing mechanics or anything like that, but your sword does have weight. It's going to knock someone back when you hit them. And it's one of those things where like I kind of like played it once, not expecting much out of it, and really enjoyed it. And then gave it a couple of months off while the developer was porting to Quest, kind of forgot all about it. They sent it to me on Quest. I played it again, kind of thinking, oh, well, I'm sure I won't be that into it this time. And putting it on my head again and thinking, oh, actually, this is kind of fun yet again. But I haven't played the early access version yet and checked out everything that's on offer there because far too busy.
There's also Forest Farm, which seems to be a cutesy, nice, calm, very Blade and Sorcery Nomad-esque game. That's already out.
Stabbing anyone up the nasals.
The nasals.
Up the nasals.
Speaking of calm and lovely and no nasal stabbings, Real VR Fishing Year 2 update is coming out on November 6th.
That's kind of a nasal stabbing game because you're fishing, aren't you?
Oh, if you're a fish, I suppose.
Yeah, you could get hooked in the nasals. Terrible. Imagine the pain.
There's also Captain Toonhead, which I swore had already been released, but it's just because we spoke about it how many months ago? It feels like at the beginning of the year.
No, it was like September. But that's an interesting one. That's a tower defense game, which looks like it's doing a lot in terms of progression. So like lots of upgrading, lots of fun story-driven campaign stuff. I don't know if it will end up being a super memorable title, but definitely
you can also do first-person shooting in it, so it's not just a strategic sort of thing. It's got a lot of personality, perhaps too much. I feel we thought about it. There's also Gravitational, which just got announced for PSVR and PCVR. So that's a guy in a space station. I think many things go very wrong.
He's in a gravity corporation, not a space station.
Oh, I see.
You fool. What a big mistake. How dare you not know the difference between space and a gravity corporation?
That looks very interesting. They only really outwardly announced PSVR, but you can see it on Steam as well. There's Shapes XR, which isn't so much a game, but more of like a collaboration art program. A lot more serious.
People.
Yes.
The Tavori types, as I should call them.
Tavorians. Resist just got announced, which is also coming out on November 11th, which, by the way, Toonhead, Gravitational, and Shapes XR are also coming out on November 11th. Big day.
Let's pull up a trailer of Resist, because I have not really paid... Yes. Harry wrote about this, but I haven't watched it yet. So it's the Binary Mill who did like an RC racing game and Gun Club VR, I think they did.
Mini Motor Racing X and Gun Club VR, yeah.
Oh, excellent. And we're in an open... Yeah. Oh, look at you with the info.
Oh,
we're in an open city environment, looking kind of superhero-y so far. And what are we doing? All right,
you're up high, looking down.
We're up high. I'm getting very plank game vibes.
Yeah, what's it, Richie's?
And then the trailer says explore. Oh, yeah, we're swinging. Okay, so we got some Spider-Man stuff going on.
Oh, boy!
We're swinging now! We got some puzzles.
Oh, Lord, what is happening in there?
We got the dual-wielding guns. We got the robots, the enemy robots in the city.
Cleaning windows, perhaps?
When I'm cleaning windows.
Here we go. There's a gun. Laser beams, guns. That's a 10.
Laser beam gun. Yeah, that looked all right. I don't know. That's kind of a weird one. Because it's just
look, this is a bit more. puzzly,
being
I suppose.
announced sort of out of nowhere with a cyberpunk vibe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I think it would have to have interesting gun handling for me to be a believer. I don't want it to be like 2016 VR guns where it's just like I want to
Yeah,
go
I
pew
suppose so.
pew, pull the charging handle back, pew pew pew. Oh, it's not aiming quite right because my hand's a little slow. That's what I want.
With the little snotty. That's
Sorry.
what I want.
Sorry.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks like it could possibly get good. Anyway, there's also Warhammer Age of Sigmar Tempest Fall coming out on November 17th. No,
But PC VR only. I mistakenly said in the report that it was
oh,
Quest 2, but
you
just
resign
PC
now.
VR for now. Yeah, sorry. There's going to be no one left on this podcast very soon. But that looks.
Now.
I'm kind of hopeful for that one because Carbon's been chipping away at it for a long time. I haven't actually played it at all yet. Yeah, and I quite like the Wizard's Dark Times. I know some people aren't so into that series, and I do understand that design-wise they are quite simple, but I do like the gesture-based spellcasting, and I think they're kind of leaning into that a bit more with Sigma, because Sigma's not the 40k universe. Sigma's like ghosts and spells and all that kind of stuff, not just
the spookies.
Yeah,
we call them.
Not the heavy clank of metal, as I called it in the Battle Sister. So that will be the interesting thing, which is better, the Battle Sister game or the Age of Sigma game. And I kind of hedging my bets on Sigma, hopefully.
I think it's going to be very welcome, the whole gesture-based system with a well-known IP.
Yeah,
I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
Because with Wizards, it was like, this is all right. It's Wizards.
But I'm not any of the wizards I know. I'm not Gandalf or Puddleglum.
You love Puddleglum.
Puddleglum, famous wizard from Narnia. I don't know if he was a wizard, actually. He just looked like a wizard. Anyway, this is very obscure British fiction. We should move on. Anyway,
no, we have not already talked about GTA San Andreas VR. That's going to be our discussion after we finish running through this and another announcement, an us announcement. There are two more games. One, two. There's Top Golf with Pro Part. It has a full course update, so it has both free and paid for DLC. And I think it's again, here we are swinging. I think it's concentrating on swinging.
Well, it's the full course, so you got to swing.
You got to swing rather than drive. Yeah. I'm saying words that I recognize from Wii Golf, but here we are.
Yeah, I can tell you're really the target market for that update.
Bogeys! Yeah, no.
Exactly.
Anyway, and then there's also Twilight Zone VR.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't think is coming out this month. Is it just, it's been announced?
I feel like it's just been announced and it's probably a 2022 thing.
Hey, welcome, Skiva.
I'm putting the trailer. Hey, Skiva. I'm putting the trailer on the screen. This doesn't actually tell you much, but
do you know who's produced this? Who is producing this?
Oh, okay.
Fun Train.
Yeah.
Who, famously, I think they published Exorcist Legion VR,
which is really good. Which is really good.
Very
just say
good.
That. Okay.
And the one and only Lord of the Jungle himself, Tarzan VR.
I am the Lord of the Jungle.
Which so does that mean bad from us? Ooh.
I got an avoid. An avoid.
That's
so
worse.
Stay away from it. Well, we don't do a bad. We only do an avoid. So that's kind of what you're getting with it. We do
anyway.
Avoid, okay, good, great, essential. So levels of great, but then if it's just bad, just don't worry about it. That's all. People are asking about as well Medal of Honor. We don't know when Medal of Honor is coming out. That's for Facebook to announce. I would imagine the way it's going. Meta. I would imagine the way it's going, they're
Blech.
probably going to like surprise drop Medal of Honor at some point. Like it's meant to be out this year. I wouldn't
You're
be
saying
surprised.
it like they actually plan these things out.
Well, of course they plan these things out. It's got to
If
go out
they
at some
planned it
point.
out, like, you know,
The game's
they
going
would
to
have
probably
dropped
make
so
millions of
much.
dollars at the end of the day.
No, they would have dropped so much. Just get away from me. They would have
Sorry, I was
dropped.
putting
You're
my phone
about
down.
to do fisticuffs. Like, come here. They plan stuff. They would have done way more with games at Connect or something, because the amount of people watching, we restreamed Connect, and the amount of people watching just waiting for games.
Yeah, but that's not.
And people were rather disappointed. I was rather disappointed.
To their detriment, they should be doing more of games at Connect, because that's when everyone's watching and that's what people expect. But in their minds, they're like, no, this is a developer conference. We'll have a few bits of gaming news, but really we're going to be talking about platform updates and making stupid videos about the metaverse and things like that. But there, I said it.
Sweet
so
baby rays.
I think we'll see. I reckon just one Thursday they'll just be like, surprise, it's available now, because they haven't been doing a big marketing campaign for it. You know, it's a campaign of surprises, very much. I mean, you'll just be scrambling suddenly to get some sort of graphics comparison out.
Yeah, that's our weekly jobs. Little insight into our lives. Andrew King, how sensible of you! You are watching for hardware.
Yeah, fair enough.
One out of 100.
So, getting back to Twilight Zone, seeing as it was playing on repeat, it's going to be a 3-episode series. One of the episodes is written by a guy called Rob Yescombe, who has written such VR greats as The Invisible Hours and Farpoint, and Rime, which is not a VR game, but a very good game.
There we go.
I'm sure there's, but that's only one episode, and I'm sure there's a lot of other writers involved. They just didn't really list them out. But it's got a lot of potential as an idea, right? Like the Twilight Zone is such a cool idea for VR, like short, sharp bursts where anything weird can happen, anything supernatural could happen. I think has a lot of potential. You don't necessarily need to make it a game. You could just make it like almost one of those like, conference hall, go and visit, put your head in it for 20 minutes, movie type things, right? Yeah,
well, just an experience.
Yeah, and that's really where The Exorcist played to those strengths as well. Of each of the 5 episodes was very different and very contained with unique scares to it. But that's where obviously Tarzan fell down. It's kind of just 3 episodes of the same thing, which was just running along a leafy corridor.
You should have been more like George of the Jungle or something like that. I don't know.
I called it Lord of the Fumble. That's one of my greatest lines of all time. Not that I, delight
fair.
but yeah. But yeah, could be a good
I delight in my wonderful fruit medley of words.
Could be a good month, and that's good because I presume we'll probably only have After the Fall in December.
Yeah, many people are asking about After the Fall.
After the Fall's out on the 9th, and we are doing some more access things with it. The schedule
it's just kind of bleeding.
It's kind of bleeding into the next month because we ended up doing. October ended up being a very, very busy month for all parties involved, and we're looking to bring you some more content on that front soon, which I'm excited about.
Kyle says Tarzan VR, a swing and a miss. It's not about baseball, Kyle.
Damn it. Look, no one's going to beat Lord of the Fumble, so let's just move on, all right? That is mine alone.
Anyway, I think this is always just, we're not going to really get into this. You can watch our previous podcast where we super get into it, or just wait till next month as well. In terms of Game of the Year potential, is there any potential in this month? I mean, it's mostly updates, isn't it? Really,
in this month.
I
guess you would have, if it had worked really well and had been more complete, I guess you could have considered Blade and Sorcery as some sort of frontrunner for maybe Quest game, but I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah. And then, no, I think it's kind of looking at the moment like it's probably going to...
Well, for example, we don't know much about Gravitational.
No, we don't know much about gravitational. That's a good point. And I mean, it's it's an indie puzzle. I wouldn't expect amazing things from it, but it could surprise for sure. I think in terms of Game of the Year watch, since the last time we talked about this, you'd probably put Song in the Smoke and Resident Evil in the running. Resident Evil 4.
I've got Unplugged.
Oh yeah, and of course Unplugged. Yes, that is a great point.
Yes, we weren't able to. I'll let you in on a little secret. Jamie, Harry, and I came into the studio to pre-record for a couple of weeks ago when Resident Evil 4 and Unplugged came out, because that would have been a chunky week. And unfortunately, we had technical difficulties and nothing. Well, half of the audio wasn't recorded, so we're like, bah!
Yeah. So there was meant to be a podcast midway through the month when we thought we were being so clever by recording it and making sure we got one to you guys, and then turns out we were not being that clever. Because the problem with when you have technical difficulties with the studio podcast is you've got a blindfold on your face, so you don't really realize.
Yeah, exactly.
When a computer doesn't like it. But that's, that's okay. We're all here now. We're all back.
It's okay. It's all right. All right, dearie. Let's move on to UploadVR Showcase.
Oh my god, what are you doing?
Sorry, that's really bad. Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire in the studio, please. I don't want to be that. I want to be there, Here
we go. There's the announcement. Da, 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 da. We are coming back with the UploadVR Showcase on the 2nd of December this year. So this summer we announced a bunch of really cool stuff and revealed gameplay. So we did stuff with, Nerf VR, Demio's Rat King update, a Township Tale on Quest. We got gameplay from Fract, Sniper Elite VR, After the Fall, and we had a ton more. We actually had loads of stuff this year.
Yeah. Meow Mix is saying it's
yeah, I know.
Funny joke, Meow Mix, but just so we're all clear, this is the 2nd of December 2021.
Oh no!
I see why they're saying that, because you've done it in the English way, not in the.
I'm British.
We're from the UK, okay? This is the right way to do it.
I'm just going to use words next time. December.
Oh, the ignorance of you Americans, honestly.
Yeah. Gosh darn it.
All right.
I wrote it in thinking, I hate writing in the American way. Yeah, here we are.
So subconsciously, you didn't. Anyway. That's fine. We'll change that before we tweet it out. Whew. Good thing we test run
thank you. This is the alpha announcement. We're going to go for the beta announcement very soon.
It's in a little less than a month, so it can't be February. February's like 3 months.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's in, No, stop it. Stop saying February 12th.
Stop saying February, everyone.
Stop! Fake news! We're all resigning. We've already resigned. We've been rehired, and we're gone again.
We've also been ill this week, okay? Anyway.
We're really ill, please.
This is the important thing to remember. What if I do this?
Oh my god. Get it off the screen.
There we go.
I don't want to see it.
This just looks weird, probably.
What are you doing?
Probably shouldn't be doing this. Anyway, if you're listening on an audio podcast, again, this is probably so entertaining. The important thing is it's going to be a really good show. We always put our blood, sweat, and tears into these shows. And doing them for the last 2 years, frankly, has been pretty hard because of COVID and people's schedules changing up all the time. It's too early to. Oh my goodness, Tom Hall's on the screen now.
He's the best.
It's too early right now. He's frozen. Oh, there we go. It's too early right now to tell you exactly who's going to take part and tease what kind of games you're going to see. But I guess the cool thing I could say is that some of the announcements that just missed out on being in the summer showcase, where we were like, oh, we were really hoping to have that one, should be making it into this show. Now that I've said that, I'll probably jinx it. But
woo-wee! Yeah,
there's some, and I'll also say this. I'll also say this with 90% confidence. If you watch the summer show, and it was a really good show, and I'm very, very proud of the work we did, I think there was probably only one actual genuinely new game announcement.
Why are you calling us out like that?
Because I mean, I'm very critical
we
of
are.
these things. Well, that's all right.
You've already resigned. There's nothing left to lose.
With 90% confidence, I would say there will be at least 2 genuinely new game announcements in this one. Now, if there's anything less than 2, I look like there will be much egg on my face, but I think it's fine.
Oh Lord, it's coming. December 2nd of this year. It's going to be fun.
Oh man.
Yeah,
it's going to be great. It's going to be great. So tune in. We'll be back to you with a proper actual air time.
Half-Life 3 confirmed. Going to be announced.
No,
tune in.
Half-Life 3 will not be there. Don't do that because you'll have, to be fair, you'll probably bring 10,000 people into the stream, but then 10,000 people that will want our blood afterwards. No Half-Life 3. No.
Ian, I know it's your birthday, but no more misinformation of this year. Gosh darn it. Everyone say happy birthday to Ian.
I was going to say, I don't know if Ian wanted that knowledge to be public, but I discovered it on his Facebook page, so...
Mark Zuckerberg, once again, you have shared my data. FNAF.
Oh my god.
Yeah, sure.
No FNAF. Thanks, Kyle. FNAF's dead to me. It's all done.
Brandon!
Ian's written, oh no. Should we move on to, I guess, what you would call the topic of the show, which wasn't Blade and Sorcery?
So, we've already, I don't want to say the word that I'm going to say because I don't think many people would. We've already, ripped apart Mark Zuckerberg quite a lot in this stream. And we're going to continue to do so. So last
Are we talking
Thursday...
about what I think we're going to talk about?
GTA?
Yeah, why would we rip apart Mark Zuckerberg for that?
Because it was announced in the horrid Connect show from last week. And he was a complete robot. Right. But anyway. Oh, hold up.
Wow.
Sidebook VR, our absolute boy. Thank you so much. Sidebook VR says, will playing GTA San Andreas in first-person VR be problematic in future? Mate, you have kicked off the discussion, and I love you for this. Technically, weird nature of VR could be called digital blackface. Safer as anime girl. This is very serious.
Well, yeah, I guess this is kind of inevitably where we were going to go with this conversation today, which was Resident Evil 4 came out a couple of weeks ago, and there were changes to the game that took out some of kind of Leon's more suggestive wording, and there were some changes to physically how the game was played to make sure that you weren't doing protecting Ashley from weird people, the companion you have, Ashley, which all felt not wasn't problematic to me. And some people
oh no, we do have the graphic up. 1 second.
Some people claim it's censorship and stuff like that.
This is better to look at, isn't it? This is what you get when you make fun of our dates. Carry on.
But basically, any problems you could have with a game like Resident Evil 4, which does have very dated, problematic things in it, that I think there's better ways to deal with it than what Facebook ended up doing. If they're publishing this game, and they haven't been super straightforward with exactly how this is working.
It's gonna,
There's a lot in there that, as a corporation, how do they justify removing some of that stuff and then not some of this stuff? Is it basically just in it mentally? Are they well, it's Grand Theft Auto, so anything goes, or is it?
Yeah.
Are we going to see a toned down version of it?
So, obviously, with Resident Evil, they had a hand in bringing it. They improved it, or but not improved it as such, but they made it VR. Facebook had a hand.
They brought it over to VR with They funded the project. They got one of their post developers armature on it. Yeah,
absolutely. With GTA, like you said, we don't know all the info on how they're going to bring it over.
So we know it's developed by the guys that did LA Noire, the VR case files. We know that, like,
So is it
in
going to
terms of the
be?
standalone version, we know it's
Yeah.
definitely exclusive to Quest 2. I've been talking with a bunch of different people about this. No one's actually said it's exclusive to Facebook yet or Meta yet. But
No.
I think it probably is because Mike Doran, the producer at Oculus, who is often on Reddit talking about the game, has talked about how they've been working on it for years and, suggests that he's played it, many different iterations of it. So they're clearly very, very heavily involved in it. And I would expect it to be exclusive. But we're still not entirely sure that's the case, I guess.
So with LA Noire, sorry, I'm just trying to get my thoughts in order here. With LA Noire, I'm doing an Ian. Sorry. Happy birthday. I'm coming at you live here. It was almost like a shortened version. So I wonder if it's going to straight up be the game or if it's going to be some missions adapted, maybe? If it might be similar.
I think, yeah, again, there's still a lot to learn about it. But they didn't call it like the San Andreas case files. They just called it Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. And I don't think you can do that announcement and then scale it back saying, actually, you have to, the way they've announced it since last week is, you have to go on and do the full game. Otherwise, you're going to get some backlash. I think they have to just
commit,
leave it.
Yeah.
And what I would do is what I said with Resident Evil 4 is I would have a message at the start of the game to say, hey, look, there's some stuff in here that's going to be uncomfortable, especially as we move
or
into VR.
Outdated.
Yeah. And what I would do is then just say, look, we're just leaving it in as a means of preservation and stuff like that. Or the better option to be like even just provide two ways of experiencing the game, right? Especially seeing as VR is starting to become a thing with kids. Township Tale and Rec Room and everything like that. So obviously played mainly by kids. But maybe there's like a parental safe way. Or no, this just sounds ridiculous. You can't have a parental safe way with Grand Theft Auto. You just can't.
No, you can't. And, kids played GTA when it came out when they shouldn't have. That's just, a fact. And kids are going to be playing this. And
see, this is why it was so important for them to have done Resident Evil 4 right. Because now we're all kind of questioning it. Resident Evil 4, basically, at the end of the day, the portrayal of Ashley and some of the jokes in there are problematic, but in the grand scheme of things, kind of not.
when GTA enters the conversation.
But the thing about GTA is you wouldn't necessarily call that problematic so much as just true to a representation of a certain way of life or a certain way of living. And so in some senses, the elements of GTA, the elements of Resident Evil 4 that are creepy that you might see also in Grand Theft Auto, they're not really so much creepy as just kind of a reflection on
developers at the time.
No, like the world they're trying to portray and recreate in certain ways, right? Like,
yeah,
and it's a really hard one to think about, but like that is inherently what GTA is about at the end of the day. And San Andreas is not a game that's fresh in my mind, but you could take it over to GTA 5, which is set in around the same area, and just kind of how unflinching that game is as well, with a character like Trevor and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I would just say in this day and age, if they were porting GTA 5 over, and and Facebook tried to like clean it up in any way, specifically with GTA 5, I would think that would be a real real problem, because
At that
I
point,
think
yeah, I think I would be annoyed as well. Like, usually I'm like, well, whatever. Like, it's just some
Yeah.
pervy lines from Resident Evil 4 that doesn't really take away from the game, but it's kind of the core of the game. And
exactly. That's
it's the
exactly what I'm trying
personality
to
of the
say.
game.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
taking away like the soul of it, and it's not saying it's vulgar and that's what we like. It's more, sorry, that went a little bit too much. It's more, it's the theme of the game. It's the themes of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Boobs aren't the theme of Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, you're right.
You know?
Yeah, no, that's a really good way to put it, and I think that's really, really, really interesting. And this is without even getting to the core of the actual game, which is going into the streets and, if you want to, just gunning down people with any kind of weapon you can find. And that, that has to be in there as well. I don't have any reservation in me that they will have removed those elements. I'm talking more about the story stuff, because if you remove any of that, then what's the point? Like, if you have just
the point?
Empty San Andreas, no one's going to want that.
Yeah. Or even if they LA Noir it up a bit, where you can't run. Didn't they have it where people always got out the way? You can't hurt these people.
Well, that's in the main LA Noir game as well, because you're a police officer. So that's.
But if they almost adapt it to that, to almost tone it down, that would be unfair.
Yeah, that's true. Because they do try and jump out of the way in the game. It's interesting, and it's going to be a real testbed for who Facebook is as a games publisher, which they're going to be for presumably many decades now from now. It's going to be a real testament to all of that stuff, and it's it's good that it's happening this early on in some cases, because we're going to need it as like a template going forward for what to expect from them. And I'm just really hoping that if they are choosing to augment it in any way, they are finding the right way to do it. And when I say augment, I literally mean, in my opinion, that would be that message at the start of the game every time you boot up, or every time you press a new game, because that is the way to give everything that you're about to experience at least some sort of context without inherently messing with it. And again, like, whatever, like Resident Evil 4 was a bunch of boob jokes. I don't care about those getting removed. They don't change the experience for me in any way, shape, or form. And even when I played the game when I was 14 and saw those on screen, I was like, that's embarrassing. So, but we're not talking about stuff. Yeah, we're not talking about stuff that's embarrassing here. We're talking about, pretty damn good writing in a lot of cases.
Yes, absolutely. So Sidebook VR, thank you again for your super chat. Really appreciate it. Love your input. Should human first person VR avatars be fixed to that player's gender and race, not the same as third person controlled avatars? So I'm gonna say no, because you're playing out this one person story, or whoever you're playing as. There's context to the story and what's being said when you're, playing as that person. If, imagine if this avatar here right now in GTA doing the things that the main character is meant to do, and hanging out with those kinds of people, it's not realistic.
It doesn't fit with the world. It wouldn't, like,
it doesn't fit with the world. I don't think the context
just wouldn't make sense.
But equally, I see what you're saying, and I see Adam Hartzell said earlier, it's going to be incredibly problematic when you're putting different people into the body of these black males who act in a certain way, and
just
some
lead
people,
this kind of life at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly, and some
life.
people, a GTA life, exactly,
yeah,
and it might almost make people feel legitimate in trying to copy it when they're not that character, if you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, but I
can understand. I'm saying that's the point.
This is the tough thing, because then
equally I wouldn't want that.
you could take it over to, like, this is such a minefield, but you could take it over to Vice
Yeah, it
City,
is.
right? Which is the same game and doing the same things. So why would it be any different? Like,
Yeah.
that's the problem with it. I think the only thing I would say is it kind of goes both ways with GTA, and it's not so much like, it's always this satirical thing, and that's the key thing with GTA. It's a very much a satirical look at American life. They all
Yeah.
have been, and that's why I'm mentioning GTA 5 so much, is because in my mind,
Yeah.
the writing in that game and the story in that game is so well done that you changing out any of it would inherently infect it. But San Andreas, I'm not super familiar with it as a game. I just know the writing from Free and Vice City was, like, very much movie inspired and
Yeah.
good, but not on the level of GTA 5. So it's a very hard thing to do, because you can just as easily, like, just as much as you're saying, like, someone could play Vice City or San Andreas and be like, okay, now I'm going to go and, like, because I've experienced that, embodied that, I'm kind of now like, I have some sort of ownership of it myself, which is obviously completely false.
Mm.
GTA you could also go the other way with the way they portray it and say, well, I'm actually getting the chance to experience some of this from a perspective I never would have. And what I would come back to that about, is there is a VR app called I'm a Man,
Yeah.
which is set around the days leading up to the assassination of Martin Luther King, and trying to recreate the experience of what it was to be a black man in, that city, in that era, at that time. And I always remember this one moment where, in the riots and everything that preceded, like, a police officer stops and gets you to hold up your hands, and I always just remember thinking in my head, like, oh man, what did I do? Like, just
Mm.
in that, brief second of, like, actually being tricked in reality, and how that, even though it's still, like, nothing, like, nowhere near even comparable to the actual real experience, just kind of made that slight connection in my brain for a few seconds of, this is the kind of stuff I, like, read about online all the time, and that's, even though it's still
Yeah.
very far away from it, that's kind of got me just a bit closer to that sensation.
Yeah.
Um,
But equally, like, going back to GTA, it's a game. It's fictional, but I know I wasn't necessarily clear in what I was saying before. Basically, some people will take it too far. Some people will take it as a game. There just needs to be, like you said, some kind of thing of, this is of its time.
mm,
Don't get weird with it, basically,
mm, yeah.
and don't take it in a wrong way.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'm going to be. I think we'll probably see it in that Oculus Gaming Showcase they're doing next year. Don't watch that. Watch our one. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if they just addressed that full on front and center and said, like, either here's what we're doing in terms of, like, what we believe should be done with these references, or they're just going to say, don't worry, this is completely untouched, the clean version, ironically clean version of San Andreas with nothing taken out. I personally think they're going to go that way. I don't think, Rockstar would even be interested in a toned down version of San Andreas that made those sacrifices. Whereas you could go to Capcom and say, "Can we remove all these weird boob jokes?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." The game still plays the same, So
Mm.
I'm hopeful that we won't see that, but it's fascinating to talk about, and
Mm.
think about where it's all headed in the future.
Yeah, and how
Oh,
these future corporations are taking it on and interpreting it.
Ian's going for full on Ian mode. San Andreas is a testbed for AR concepts like blurring out violence in real time, as
Ooh.
an interesting idea, which is, as good point.
Yeah.
And it really, really is in a lot of ways. There's a lot in that game that is, that game is just about how do you act when you walk around outside in a lot of ways, and that
Mm.
there's going to be a new level of freedom to that and control to that. I mean, I just on a pure gameplay perspective, I can't wait to play that game with actual aiming in it, not just the terrible auto lock-on aiming that's always ruined it for me. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll see some of that
the
in the
remastered
remasters,
aspect of it. Yeah.
So yeah, that will be really interesting to see. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens next year, because it's definitely going to be one to watch for sure.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that was our discussion of GTA 5. Again, Blade and Sorcery Nomad is out today, and you can read our review and watch our review and everything like that. Join us again next week, next Thursday. Who knows what we'll be talking about. But yeah, it's been fun. Thank you guys for joining. And joining in on the conversation. Head over to uploadvr.com for the latest on VR, and we'll see you again soon. Bye!
Bye, guys. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.